Today I got that little devil sitting on my shoulder, and that devil goes by the name of Shannon. And something that Shannon said in the comments that really got to me recently. And so, it wasn't just Shannon who said it. It was the 13 people that put that like next to it who also got to me. And so as I am told constantly by you guys, stop, ignore the haters. I can't ignore the haters, y'all. I'm not built that way. Instead, I'm going to turn this right back around and go at the hater, Shannon and her 13 little demon friends. Because, listen, the devil's on my shoulder and he's saying, come on, Lester, give it to her good. Come on, Lester. Now, I know, I also hear the angel, and she goes by the name of Kim. And Kim was saying, don't do it, Lester. It's okay. Just turn the other cheek to Shannon and her demonic faithful. But I'm not doing that today. I'm going to listen to the devil because I need to get this off my chest. And so I'm just going to do it. Piss and vinegar. They call it piss and vinegar. Fine, and barbed wire. Today, Lester's full of piss and vinegar and barbed wire. I'm going to tell you why. Whenever I can find a way to block this wind, I'll squat down right here behind this tractor. I'm going to tell you a story that goes back a long ways, back to when my dad was a little boy, about 6 or 7 years old. And my grandparents had a couple of goats. They had raised milk goats. And there was one goat in particular that my dad was just really fond of. He named her Sally. And every day my dad's job was to walk out, and after he fed all the goats, he had to put some hay in the barn and he would milk Sally. They would use that milk. Oh my gosh, this wind. They would use that milk for all kinds of products, And this went on for several years, and as the years went on, my dad grew more and more in love with Sally. She was just his special girl. And so he was heartbroken the day that my grandpa come out and told him that they had to sell the goats. Times were hard and they were unable to keep them, and they could get more from the market. And they needed that money, so they had my dad tie a little string around all of the goats. There's only 4 or 5 of them, and lead them several miles up the road to the little auction barn. Along the way, we had a cold winter storm come in, and it ended up dropping a lot more snow than what this area in Texas has ever had before. It was very similar to what you guys up north would call a blizzard, or just whiteout conditions. And so what my dad did was, the only thing he could think of as he was walking along, he saw an old roll of hay like this one over here. And my dad began to sort of burrow himself down into it. And he called the goats inside there with him to kind of huddle up around him. He thought, surely this storm will pass and all will be fine. Problem is, that storm did not pass. It snowed for a couple of days. And once the snow had finally stopped, my dad, of course, was nice and warm, huddled there inside the hay. The goats were content to be sitting there eating on the hay around them. My dad would, of course, bring in handfuls of snow to melt and eat, for his hydration. But there was one thing that my dad could not find, was food to eat. And whereas the goats were content and they were doing fine eating on that hay, my dad had nothing. And as one day turned into 2, and then 2 into 3, and then 3 into 4, and as you can tell, of course, there were people out looking for my dad, but at this point they thought he was gone, and they had finally stopped all the search parties because there was no hope of finding our beloved Pawpaw. Sorry, this gets a little bit emotional. But after about 7 days, all of a sudden my dad climbed out of that roll of hay. The snow was finally melting, and he was able to make his way back home, where he was greeted with hugs and kisses and all kinds of joy by his parents, my grandparents. And then at some point they began to ask him, how did you survive? How did you make it? And that's when my dad told him there was only one way he could survive. It was off the milk of Sally. He had survived those 7 days drinking from the milk from Sally. That's not a true story. I just made that up. I just made that up to demonstrate a point. Thank y'all. You did great. No, he did really good. Thank God Sally was not a boy. Thank God Sally was not a billy goat. Man, I got that one good. I did that one just... Thank God Sally was a girl. Because my dad survived off suckling from Sally. I am full of piss and vinegar today. I'm going to tell you why a little bit later. But first, let's get some work done. So before the wind picks up again, let me show you what I got going on today. Running a couple of rolls of barbed wire down along this fence line over here. And the reason I was talking about the big tool rack and how neat it is because of the things that you would carry depending on what job you're working on. Now, I know you've all seen the big tool rack plenty of times in my barn. It's usually full of all kinds of junk, including a chicken snake or two. We've had mice in here, chicken snakes, and we have a lot of chickens lay eggs. But as of right now, it's all been cleaned out, and I've neatly sorted all the tools that I need for this particular job. And that includes just every tool that you need for this job. What I'll do is, when I'm done with this work here, I'll take this back to the barn. I'll unload everything, and it will be nice and empty again, waiting on my next big job. It's cool because you can just back right up to it and hook onto it with your tractor. It's pretty durable, kind of rattly. I don't really care for the rattle a whole lot, but it's fine. I mean, it really does serve its purpose. And if I chose to, or if I needed to have a trailer, it also comes with a trailer hitch that you could put your ball on there and pull a trailer behind you if you had post or wires or other kind of things that you needed to lay out during your work. Anyway, it's not about the big tool rack. It is about why is Lester so angry at the world right now? Oh, where does one start? Or should I even worry about it? Seriously, sometimes you have to ask, why do you even worry about it? But I'm over here working on some fence because, not because I was asked to, because I wanted to, and because I thought it would be the right thing to do. And the fence is not for me, and the fence was not for a video. Reason I'm upset is because Jake was over here in the pasture burning. He and Brienne were burning his pastures, which has to be done this time of year. You already know why. And in that video, it was a live video. This woman, Shannon, wants to blurt out. She wants to blurt out, where is Lester in times like this? You were always there to help Lester when he needed you, and even when he didn't. And if Shannon did not notice, in the foreground, back off in the distance, working quietly alone, was Uncle Lester.
I was playing. Hey, y'all, look at this. Look at this. Jacob. My uncle has come out to help me build some fencing over here because he knows I got a lot on my plate right now, so he's trying to help me out too, so I appreciate that.
As a matter of fact, Jake acknowledged it. Brienne came by and included me in one of her videos that day. My dad came by and put me in one of his videos that day. And Lester was not videoing. So after these 13 people are like, yeah, Lester's a son of a bill. Lester's no good. Lester's boo, Lester. All of a sudden, some sweet girl named Kim comes by and she says, wait a minute. That's not fair. Lester has done things. And she kind of lists out a couple of things that Lester's done really good with Jake by. And then if this, lo and behold, this little, well, if Lester's helping, it's only because he has no video content. Lester needs video, and that's why Lester's helping. There's no other reason why Lester would ever help. And that's why I just told you the story of the goat named Sally, and how my dad had to survive off of Sally because little devil woman named whatever your name is, Lester will never struggle for content. No, Lester doesn't need to make fencing videos to struggle for content. I don't need to, because I've been blessed with an imagination, and I've been blessed with some creativity, and God has blessed me in certain ways to where I can entertain and edutain folks without needing or being dependent on content. So I'm sorry to burst your bubble. And so as a matter of fact, if you think about it, this entire video is thanks to you, devil woman. Yeah, I hope you're happy. And all your 13, yeah, you're right. Let's just stick it to Lester today. He's no good, he's no good. And now I feel better, but I am gonna get off my knees. I'm trying to block the wind to help you all hear. A lot of people don't realize that when you make videos, you have to be aware of your surroundings. And one thing that can ruin a great video, like this one, is a lot of wind noise. So, bless you, Shannon, and all of your 13 sheep. And I will say one last thing, I'll let you all go. I know you're tired of hearing all about this mess. Do you know that I clicked on the folks who liked that video, and I could actually name about 3 or 4 of those people because they're big followers of my channel as well. And they're the same kind of people that get on my channel and tell me how great I am and how wonderful everything is and how amazing everything looks, or whatever we're talking about that day. And yet they jump on another channel and all of a sudden, sheep. Shame. I'm gonna let you go now because I think that I've ranted long enough and I feel better about it. And now I'm gonna work on fence, and I'm not even gonna show you. I probably will, just to really piss you off, because I'm full of fire and vinegar and piss and barbed wire, along with my big tool rack. So, booyah.
I come to tell you a story about a man, humble is his way. He'd lend you a helping hand, who took the time to teach kids, that was his profession. Plus drove the school bus when they completed all their lessons. Single father or 2, plus a coach could be a lot to juggle, but not when you're working with that I'm a survivor muscle. He took pride in the few animals he raised. Hobby farming by night seems to balance out his days, and he always knew that his best days were yet to come, but didn't know first he had to make it through a storm. Everybody's evacuating, leaving in a hurry. There's trouble on the way, they name it Hurricane Harvey. When you have little resources, not a whole lot of money, it's hard to lock away and secure all of your belongings. So this man and his 2 boys packed and evacuated, waited for the storm to pass, and it was hard to have patience, cause there were all sorts of rumors that spoke on how you needed a boat for the roads that we drove on, and animals are floating by, helpless and afraid. The storm was cataclysmic, left the town in a rage. The roads finally opened, and it was time to go see the damage that was done. He was kinda scared to proceed, but started down his driveway, water just above both feet. Pull out his phone to capture. Moments later, guess what he seen? It was his little black pig named Patty, dashing his way like a lost child who found daddy. Emotions running high, he didn't know what to do except cry tears of joy, and he ran toward her too. The little goat Meg was like the engine that could, because she never gave up, and the horses, they were good. See, the house was a wreck, but all that could be fixed. It really hurt to see some got caught up in the fence, lost their life. In that moment, he was taken out his element, and dead God came and gave him gifts that was heaven sent. Admired how he tended to the animals and land, because that was the initial plan when he made man. And so he was placed on a whole new surface, the same old land, but a whole new purpose. And 3 months later, he was blessed with a wife, world front and center, watching him rebuild his whole life. So remember this story when you think you have nothing. I'm a survivor sanctuary. We're all survivors of something.